Hello and welcome to this Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching Opening Bell with me, Nandita Khemka. It promises to be an action-packed Friday. Given the fact there is a lot happening globally, on the domestic front, we have the RBI policy decision at 10 a.m. So we are counting down to that. Of course, it will be a third rate cut if the RBI cuts rates. And of course, the street is factoring in another 25 basis point rate cut by the RBI. Of course, with this, it will be a 75 basis point cumulative rate cut since February. So yes, all eyes will be on that, but more than that, it will be the future guidance that will be watched out for from the RBI in terms of the future outlook on growth. Inflation, of course, is under control, but how the future rate trajectory is looking like here onwards, that's also something that the market will be looking out for. But lots happening globally as well. Two of the most powerful men, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, are engaged in a very bitter and public feud, and there have been like a spate or flurry of tweets since last night. That's another situation that's been evolving, and we saw Tesla slumping over 14% last night in the midst of this the very public feud that has taken place between the two powerful men. But lots to watch out for in terms of stocks as well. Bajaj Finserv has seen a big block deal. We'll take stock of that stock. We'll take stock of your queries as well, so keep them coming in on a live feed. We will get them addressed. But to quickly take a look at the top stories at this hour first. Wall Street ends lower with Dow posting back-to-back losses. All eyes will be on the monthly jobs report that's due later today. The dollar has slipped while US Treasury yields have risen by over 3 basis points. US President Donald Trump and billionaire Elon Musk escalate their disagreement about the US budget bill into a big public argument on social media. Musk says Donald Trump is in the Epstein files and calls for his impeachment, while Trump threatens to terminate Musk's governmental subsidies and contracts. Tesla shares plunge over 14% amid the feud, wiping out $152 billion in the market cap, the biggest hit ever. Asian markets also open mixed as investors assess Trump's phone call with Xi Jinping. The GIFT Nifty is indicating a muted start for the Indian market. And crude extended its decline for a third straight day, with Brent falling marginally to around $65 a barrel amid signs that Saudi Arabia may take another production decision at the next OPEC meeting. Meanwhile, gold prices remained on the lower trajectory. However, silver surges to a 13-year high. The Monetary Policy Committee is expected to cut the repo rate for a third time. Street is factoring in a 25 basis point rate cut. Majority expect a 50 basis point rate cut in this cycle. Well, those were all the top stories at this hour, but quickly taking stock of what really happened in the market yesterday. It was weekly expiry. It was a fairly volatile day where the Nifty came off over 100 points from the day's high. It did end above that 24,700 mark. The mid-cap index continues to outperform. In fact, yesterday it was moving in tandem with the benchmarks. The Nifty Bank was in focus. It did close in the green, but it relatively underperformed the benchmarks. Market breadth was in favor of advances. In terms of fund flows, FIIs have turned net sellers yesterday after a couple of sessions of buying 200 crore. That's a meager amount that was sold in the cash market. DI buying continues with domestic investors buying stocks worth 2,300 crore rupees in the cash market. In terms of the put call ratio, it has jumped to 0.98 from 0.73 in the previous session. And looking at the stocks that will be in the F&O band, Chambal Fertilizer is the new entrant in the F&O band list. Aditya Birla Fashion and Manappuram Finance continue to be in F&O band for today. But on that note, bringing on board Raja Venkatraman, co-founder of NeoTrader, who's joining in this morning. Raja, a very action-packed Friday today. Of course, aside of what's happening globally, domestically as well, RBI policy will be in focus. But in terms of the index movement, extremely range-bound for the last 2-3 weeks. That range 24,500 to 25,100 hasn't been breached. Do you think there could be something in the policy that would get the Nifty to break out above this zone?
Yeah, good morning, Nandita. Thank you for inviting me to the show. So the kind of movement which we are seeing in the last few weeks have been definitely a testing one. Yes, the best thing that has happened as we have discussed in the last week also, is that Nifty has moved from the 24,000 to 24,500 band to the 24,500 to 25,000 band. And this particular band has been held quite strongly, and especially with event in play, I think that markets are waiting for some triggers. So the domestic triggers from the Q4 numbers have actually helped sustain the upward bias. Now, with the prices continuously knocking the 24,950 or 25,000, you could say that range. So the expectation is that it should surpass this level. So a 25 basis points rate cut has is already getting factored in. Now we'll have to see once the rate policy is out, how are the PSU banks going to react. So I'm tracking the PSU banks more aggressively, because if there is a that particular sector has not performed quite well. So if that were to take off, then I can definitely see Nifty Bank Nifty crossing 56,000. And from the overall setup, when we took a handover from the May series, the Bank Nifty was the one which had some sort of interest to move higher. So now, if post the policy, if all these cues start falling in place, I think that crossing 56,000 would definitely make the markets move higher. Plus, the option data continuously is indicating on the Nifty as well as the Bank Nifty that the lower levels are being defended. So there is definitely no bearish bias that is getting set. It's only that we are waiting for some triggers. So we got to see post the policy, and I would wait at least for half an hour post the policy for the dust to settle in before I take any views. While the indices are not performing, there are a lot of stock specific action, and I think that that's where the viewers should be concentrating on.
Have about
I lost your
5 odd minutes to go for the markets to open. First, your recommendations.
Yeah, the first recommendation which I would like to roll in with is a buy in Coforge at current level. So Coforge is a very interesting bet right now, which I feel is showing some revival from lower levels, and also with the positive cues which are coming in from US. So I can think that Coforge would be a good bet. IT stock saw some uptick yesterday, and Coforge would be my bet for the long side with a stop at 1740 for a target towards 1845. And the second bet would be on HAL. HAL is a very good, it's very well positioned now amongst the defense space. It has already shown some good up move, and after a strong consolidation, is showing signs of an upside. And a late session moves seen yesterday ignites some more possibilities. So one should buy it at current levels with a stop at 5040 for a target towards 5225.
Okay, Coforge and HAL, two recommendations coming in from Raja. Take a note of them. But let's talk about some of the newsmakers. Before we head into the market open. Bajaj Finserv, it has seen a big block deal. 1.8% equity has exchanged hands worth 5,500 crore rupees at 1925 rupees via block deal. Now, Bajaj Finserv off late has come under pressure. The stock, has been consistently emerging as a top Nifty laggard past couple of sessions. How would you trade into a Bajaj Finserv today, given the fact that there will be a supply pressure, right, in the wake of the block deal? Do you see it as a big negative? What are the levels to watch out for on the downside?
Yeah, definitely the news flow is hinting towards some negative bias. But then when you consider the kind of movement which has been happening, especially in the financial services, so these news are getting factored in. And this particular movement which you are seeing in Bajaj Finserv over the last few days could be a sign of the bearishness receding. So I don't think that one should stay on the bearish side in this. It's a good opportunity to initiate long, because after the recent correction from the highs of around 2150, I feel that the stock has come to a good point for initiating a buy.
Okay, that's the view on a Bajaj Finserv. Another stock that has seen a block deal is ZF Commercial. 3.2% equity worth 790 crore rupees has exchanged hands at a price of 13,191 rupees per share. The floor price was at 12,000, which was at a 10% discount. Promoter Wabco has probably sold this stake, but the stock has seen good traction. If you look at the monthly charts in the last 5 sessions, could today be a day of breather, and would that be an opportunity to buy?
Yeah, definitely. The stock has, the higher time frame charts are clearly indicating that the stock is on a good upward trajectory. And the recent correction is only a initiative for us to go long. So the news flow is on a block deal, and the markets should react lower. But then that opportunity should be used to buy because the prices have already come into some strong set of supports, and the sector which it is in is showing some signs of recovery. So this is a good time to enter the stock.
Okay, good time to enter a ZF commercial. That's the view. Just about less than a minute to go for the markets to open. I want to take stock of IREDA. This stock is in focus. 4,500 crore PQIP has been launched, and the floor price is at 173 rupees or so, almost 174 rupees, so to say. The stock has kind of taken a pause. If you look at the last 5 sessions, last month has been pretty good for the stock. At 174, is this a good candidate?
Yeah, definitely the financial space, like we discussed 2 minutes ago, has been showing some. So under the finance umbrella, there are different sections that are available. So IREDA has been
Hmm.
amongst the favorite for the retail participants, and I think that this is a good opportunity for the retail participant to enter. Over the last few weeks, the stock has bottomed out and it has steadily been making a higher lows, which is a clear sign of participation emerging. And I would wait for a move above 180 before I enter the stock. Then the stock has got potential towards 200. So it's a good, interesting setup that is getting built.
Okay, interesting setup when it comes to IREDA, but we are getting the first ticks and it is a mildly negative start. We're down 15-20 odd points on the Nifty. 24,730 is where we are at. Sensex down 100 points. Mid cap index, however, is managing to clutch on to the positive zone. Bank Nifty has opened up with a cut of almost 100 points or thereabouts, 55,700 odd. That's where we are placed. Breadth is looking okay right now. Let's see how things really pan out as we go through the session, and we have the RBI policy as well. So post that we'll have to see how things really pan out. But in terms of other sectors, some of the global facing sectors have been doing well in the last couple of sessions. IT, metals, etc. Today IT is under some bit of selling pressure. That's opened with a negative bias, but metals continue to gain. Third straight day of gains for the metal pack. Autos were under a spot of bother yesterday, today as well. They are under pressure. But want to see what the realty pack is doing. That index is up 0.5% or thereabouts. So mixed open. Sectoral picture is also mixed. Pharma, by the way, it was a top sectoral mover yesterday. Today as well, some mild gains coming in on the pharma index. PSU bank index was a laggard yesterday, trading flat but with a positive bias. So rate sensitives in all the sectors, they are in the mixed territory with PSU banks holding out and realty holding out. But autos and banks under, I think it's a wait and watch approach that's visible if you look at the charts. In terms of individual movers, then very quickly, Tata Steel, that's the top Nifty laggard. Shriram Finance, ICICI Bank, Tata Motors, SBI Life, Bajaj Finance, Eicher Motors, Hero Moto. These are some of the laggards. Even HDFC Bank and SBI are under pressure as we speak. Was doing well. Dr. Reddy's, it was among the top gainers yesterday on the back of a brokerage upgrade. Today as well, top Nifty gainer, 1.5% gains. Coal India, some bit of news flow there. The stock is up 1%. BEL extending gains. Hindalco. Bajaj Finserv is, by the way, in the green, up 0.5%. IndusInd Bank as well is in the green. So are the likes of Hindalco and JSW Steel. But in terms of IndusInd Bank, I want to understand what are the, what's the kind of strategy you'll adopt here, because the stock, has recovered quite sharply from its 52-week lows of 606 or so. It's up 30% from its 52-week low, so to say. There's some bit of news flow as well. It's an MC exclusive. wherein we've reported that any kind of capital infusion by Hindujas is likely to come with riders or conditions from the RBI. The conditions would include the likes of revocation of pledge created by the promoters and appointment of at least one promoter representative to the board. Now, conditions also include pricing of shares for capital infusion, voting rights, maintaining arm's length in dealings, transactions, etc. And all these conditions actually, align with the standard promoter RBI promoter norms as well. But on the charts, given the fact that the stock has seen, fair bit of recovery from 52-week low, do you think that the bottom is already in place? And the stock has actually seen some good days, some bad days. If you look at the last few days of action, so here on, how would you trade?
Yeah. So, IndusInd Bank has been going through some corporate governance issues, and these issues are not going to die down so easily. And since it's one of the most actively and watched counter, so that's why you are actually witnessing some buying that are emerging at lower levels. But then, overall, if you see the trajectory, this bank is still having certain issues, and it could take a while for this stock to recover. So, as a investment bet, there are other banking names which are available. So, if you are looking the banking space and looking to invest into IndusInd Bank until there is some clarity that emerges, I would wait and watch IndusInd Bank and treat it purely from an intraday play. Now, from an intraday play, also, I feel that there are a lot of as the stock came crashing down, there are a lot of gaps that have emerged. So, I would feel that the immediate resistance which it is having is around 880, and that could be a important inflection point for IndusInd Bank. Till then, I would be a wait and watch and treat it purely from an intraday play.
Okay, Indus in looking like an intraday play and levels, of course, that Raja mentioned. But let's take up some viewer queries on that note. Uh, there is one on a banking stock, HDFC Bank. Komal Makecha written in. She writes that she has shares at the rate of 1770. Should I hold or book profit? Today, of course, shares are under some bit of selling pressure. But HDFC Bank at this rate, should it be held on to, or is it time to book some partial profit?
Yeah, see, there is no cause for booking partial profits, and HDFC Bank, one of the highest weightages
Hmm.
in Bank Nifty, right? It's holding a major stake in that. So, with that being the case, and with an event today, one
Hmm.
should wait for the event to unfold. And over the last more than 1.5 months, the stock has maintained its higher level. So, I believe that a move above 1975 would unlock more opportunities. So, your entry point is good. So, one should continue to hold on, and the stop loss will be at 1900. So, it will still be above the entry price.
Okay, that's the view. Hold on. No reason to really book partial profits or profits in HDFC Bank. Want to get in your thoughts on a Hindustan Zinc. Given the sharp surge in silver prices, 13-year highs, etc., we saw a very good rally playing out on shares of Hindustan Zinc yesterday. Today as well, it's extending its gain at 503. How should one approach this stock? Because the 52-week high levels are still some distance away. Is it a good play now? There is a query on this. I think Naveen has written in. He wants to know how to trade into this counter.
Yeah, definitely. This stock is a good play. And if you are looking at the kind of moves which we are seeing right now in the metal space today, also metal sector is showing some strong move. So I feel that this stock, after the sharp decline which it witnessed at the start of the year, the stock is showing some good upward traction, and this is a good price point to enter. And if you've already if you want to take a fresh entry, you can enter here. You can use dips towards the region of around 450, 470, and track this for a move towards 600 within the next 6 months.
Hmm. Okay, that's the view on a Hindustan Zinc looking good on the charts. The next one I want to take up is on a GM Financial. This query has come in from Anil. Uh, some of these financials, as you already mentioned, are doing extremely well, and particularly for a GM Financial, the stock is up in excess of 44% in the last 1 month, very close to 52-week high levels as well. Uh, how should you look at this? Any patterns emerging? Is this going to break out above this 52-week high level as well?
Yeah, the stock has been on a consistent move ahead of its numbers. So its numbers have also been reported well. So if you see the move from 100 to 140 within the span of 1 month, it's quite remarkable. Now, entering at this stage and expecting a similar, that's one of the major issues which all of us are facing. Some stocks which have got 40%, expecting it to move for a similar run at this point would be challenging. So one should partake participate, but then also use dips towards the region of around 125 as a level to add into the stock. Overall, the stock is looking quite good, and I would say that this stock will definitely cross its 52-week high.
Okay, the stock is poised to cross its 52-week high. I hope that answers your query on GM Financial, but lots of queries on the capital market theme as a whole. We have a query coming in from Anune, wants to know your thoughts on 361 VAM. The buy price is 970. Wants to know whether he should book profits or hold on. We also have a query on CDSL. Exchange stocks have been doing particularly well as well. Manish Kumar wants to know your thoughts on how to look at a CDL after the recent rally. Your thoughts on both these stocks?
Yeah, so this 361 MAM has is just getting started. Yes, it had a very strong move over the last almost 3 to 4 years, and the recent profit booking, so to say, has not dented the confidence much. And what has happened is that the dip was only used to buy into, and I feel that the stock is positioned to go further up. And with the interest in the financial space, I think that this is a good stock to stay invested, or it's also a good time to invest into the stock right now also.
Okay, that's about 361 VAM, but what about CDSL?
Yeah, like you said, the new age stocks which I am mentioning are definitely attracting a lot of attention, and especially after its addition to the FNO segment, it has got a lot of attention. And over the last uh, few days, I'm seeing MCX, BSE, Angel One. So the CDSL, of course, so all these stocks are finding a lot of attention from the retail participants, and that's what is driving up the volumes and also the upward traction. So this upward traction will continue, but then when you are going to enter at such heights, always be ready for a reaction to enter so that you can get a best average price.
Hmm. Okay, there are quite a few queries on the financial space, and as they are trickling in, I'm kind of asking you those. The recent one is on Axis Bank. This gentleman Pankaj Kajalia hasn't mentioned his buy price, but saying that he's making a loss on Axis Bank. He wants to know whether he should add more. Would you advise?
Yeah, Axis Bank currently has been undergoing some consolidation. I will wait for I will not wait. It's better to add at higher levels rather than adding it right now, because the overall stock trajectory is not giving a sign of confidence right at the moment. So I would wait for the RBI policy to come out, see what the bank nifty is doing, and then take. So one clue can be that even though the stock is not showing a move, if bank nifty were to cross 56,000, that would also be a good trigger to add into the stock.
Hmm. Okay, that's the view then. Very quickly, couple of more queries then. This one's coming in from Debu K on Gravita India. Wants to know if this is the right time to invest. The stock has seen good traction in the last 3 months, but of late, last month or so, it has been pretty sideways, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, would you look at this stock or would you look at better candidates?
So Gravita, yes, the particular it's a commodity-driven sector, and right now the stock is not showing any sign of
Hmm.
confidence. And yes, the stock has shown some good upward traction, and it is showing some promise. But I would wait for some more confidence to develop on the price action before I decide to get into. This is not the right time.
Hmm. Okay, not the right time. But last query for you then, Raja, coming in from Satya CK, wants to know whether it's a good time to accumulate Supriya Life Sciences. His time horizon is 9 to 12 months. He wants to know whether one should accumulate, and if one already has a position, should they hold on? Your thoughts?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't get the name of the stock.
Supriya Life Sciences.
Okay. So this particular counter has been going through some phases, and I would wait for the pharma space. There are better candidates that are available, so it would be an avoid from my side.
Supriya Life Sciences is an avoid. Hope that answers your query, Satya. With that, we've come to the end of the query segment. And Raja, as always, we always interact on Fridays, so it's a good day to interact because we all already in the weekend mode. Although it's a very, very important day, lots of cues, to watch out for. But good to have you on the show as usual. Thank you for joining in. I'll see you next Friday.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Well, thank you. Well, on that note, quickly take a look at the market then. We are where we were at the start of the day or start of the trading session, so to say, down 18 points on the index, no big moves. Of course, there is caution ahead of the RBI policy decision at 10 a.m. Mid-cap index is also where it was when we last did a market check. But on that note, let me bring on board our next guest for today. Joining me is Shrikant Chouhan of Kotak Securities. Shrikant, lovely chatting with you. It's been a long time and a lot has really happened in the market since then. But looking at the immediate cues, in terms of how the tariff situation is panning out, Trump has had a very fruitful conversation, according to him, with Xi Jinping. And of course, India is already in the last lap when it comes to striking a deal with the US. Domestically, we have quite a few cues as well. We've just had an earnings season that's concluded. We have the RBI policy. How are you making, the market? What's your sense? Where is the market headed from here? Because we've been very ranged in the last couple of weeks.
Good morning everyone, and thank you for having me on this show. For Nifty and for the market, if we consider the overall domestic as well as global macros, then there we can see very clearly that there are n number of uncertainties. Every day there is something which comes from the US, and that actually impacts to the global markets, including emerging markets. And most of the time, whenever we see such type of uncertainty in the market for a longer time, the market starts trading in a range and it waits for the final outcome, which will come, I think, in the month of July, correct? In the first week. So till then, I am expecting market to remain in a broader range. If we consider the global macros, then they are at an unchanged levels. I'm going to say we have seen the levels of 105, 110 on dollar index. Now it is at 98, 99, but it is stabilizing around this level, which is, I can say, positive for emerging markets. Also, if we consider the 10-year bond yield, then there it is like still, I can say, a lot of confusion in terms of whether it is going to rise or it is going to fall further from here. But the way the US economy is finding difficulties and the macro data, which is not supportive, I am of the view that the bond yield is going to remain at this levels, or we may see some more upward activity in the bond yield, which will impact or which will arrest some flows for the emerging markets. If we consider our markets, then their domestic macros are, I can say, much better than the last 10 years. Because of that, I can say the market is holding at 25,000. Otherwise, if we consider the valuations of our markets, then they are at expensive levels. And whenever we see expensive valuations, but stable or better, I can say, domestic macros, we see sideways sort of activity and the similar sort of trend that we are witnessing. So I am of the view that we should look for taking selective bets or maybe stock specific bet in this market instead of taking any, I'm going to say, top down approach in the near term.
Okay, look at a bottoms up approach in this market. We'll come to some of the sectors and stocks that are, that one should be keeping on their radar. But before that, in terms of today's policy, is there an outside chance of a 50 basis point given the comfort on the inflation front? In terms of growth estimates also, some brokerages have cut India's growth forecast for FY26 to 6.2%, citing divergence between GST collections and other high frequency data like credit growth, even auto sales figures for that matter. So is there a case for RBI to revise growth downwards? Because the consensus is that they'll stick to 6.5% for FY26 as well. So your thoughts on chances of 50 basis point and growth revision?
No, we are expecting a 25 basis point cut, not we are taking any aggressive step from the RBI. The reason is because currently the economy is in good shape. There is no as such any problem. But at the same time, government will definitely, I'm to say RBI will consider to cut the rate in the coming future. So by the end of this FY26, we are expecting 75 basis to 100 points cut. But gradually we are expecting this particular thing to happen. We are not expecting any aggressive step. The main reason is that inflation is in control, and also the GDP is at 7.4, 7.5, and also there are a lot of uncertainties in the world markets. So we need to fight, we need to battle with that particular uncertainties, and that's why we are not expecting any major, I'm to say, aggressive rate cut from the RBI. Otherwise, also, if we consider the liquidity in the system, then that is quite enough. And GST collection, also, if we consider the overall Q4 numbers, then there also we have not seen any major disappointment. Yes, the results, I'm to say, the quarterly numbers were muted, but broader, if we consider the, if we take the broader view on the overall, I'm to say, earnings and the macros, then I think we are at stable levels.
Okay, point taken. But let's talk about some of the rate sensitives then, since this entire basket will be in focus. Starting with banks, private bank numbers have been good, barring those banks which have higher MFI exposure. So A, in terms of MFI book, is the worst over, and B, if you talk about private sector versus PSU banks, PSU banks have managed to narrow down the valuation gap with private sector banks. They were earlier at 0.5 price to book, and now most of them are 0.8, 0.9. So in that sense, which side should the tilt be? Should one be tilted more towards private or PSU banks?
Yeah, I don't think that the pain is completely over for MFI, but yes, it is softening, and it is softening to a lot. I think we have reached to the peak of that particular cycle, and whenever we see such type of, I'm going to say, the peak sort of scenario, from here we are not expecting any major dent on the MFI book, and that's the reason we have started witnessing buying interest in small finance bank or those banks which are especially into this microfinance and all. So in last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, if we consider, then we saw good amount of buying attraction in all these stocks. Also, if we consider the large cap banks, I'm going to say private banks and PSU banks, then we saw buying interest, specific buying interest in PSU banks is mainly because of no doubt that they have delivered better numbers as compared to private banks. But at the same time, the way there is a liquidity in the market, that liquidity has now started chasing to those banks or companies which are relatively undervalued in the same space. So if we consider private banks and PSU banks, then private banks, they are trading somewhere close to 2.5 times to their book value, but PSU banks were trading at 0.75, 1 times to their book value. So maybe because of that, the excess liquidity in the market, and now it has started chasing to those companies or those banks which are relatively better. So eventually, if we consider the let's say investment horizon of next 12 months, then I don't think that there can be any major negative for BFSI sector, and maybe that's the reason the money has started flowing into PSU banks.
Okay. That's the view then on the banking pack, but I want to get in your thoughts on some of the global facing sectors like metals, for instance. Higher tariffs have kicked in, and of course we are in the process of striking a deal that will come only in July, and of course there has been some seems to be some thaw in talks between US and China as well. So do you think metal sector is primed for a good up move, and tactically one should look at this space?
No, we don't think that we are going to see major growth kind of scenario for the metal space. But yes, in the near term, with a tactical move, definitely we should look for taking specific bets in those stocks which are beneficiaries out of this particular war between US and China. Also, we saw some specific buying interest in precious metals, in that specifically silver. And because of that, also gradually we started seeing buying interest in mining companies. So GMDC or even I can say NMDC, Hindustan Zinc, Vedanta, these stocks have started stabilizing. And if we consider the trend of last, let's say, 2.5 weeks prior to this, then there was good amount of sell-off and profit taking was happening in this particular stocks and sector. But now there is a genuine interest, renewed buying interest in these stocks. So yes, we should be very much selective in terms of choosing stocks from this particular space. Steel stocks have already reached to their valuation levels. So currently they are expensive in terms of their valuations. Also, because of the volatility in the dollar index and news flow from the China, I'm not expecting any major sort of activity in steel stocks. But yeah, in that space, we like Jindal Steel Power, which is slightly better in terms of its fundamental. But other stocks are very close to their fair values, and it is better to stay away from taking any specific bet in steel stocks. But yes, mining stocks should do well. And in that, we like Vedanta, we like Hindustan Zinc. Uh, with a view of course, 6 to 12 months, not with a very short term view. Uh, I mean to say we should look for buying them, and if there is any pain in the market because of any reason, we should be like of the view to hold on to them. Broadly, more focus should be on the mining companies.
Okay, more focus should be on the mining companies, on the metal pack. With that, I'm afraid, Shrikant, we are kind of running out of time now. We look forward to a longer conversation, but it was lovely chatting with you. And I hope to get you back on the show sometime soon.
Definitely, definitely. Yes. Sure.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Well, then, just looking at the market, just about 20 minutes to go for the all important RBI speech. We will get to know whether it's a 25 basis point or 50 basis point. But for now, Street has factored in a 25 basis point with some downward revision in CPI estimates for FY26 and GDP forecast likely to be held on to at 6.5%. The mid cap index is clutching on to the positive zone. Bank Nifty has slipped into the red. The Nifty has slipped into the red, but it's fairly quiet. We are sub 24,700 levels, but no big cuts. It's a 50-point downtick on the Nifty as we speak. But just about less than 20 minutes to go for the governor's speech. I'll see you post the speech with a battery of experts to decode the RBI rate decision as well as the future outlook. So don't forget to tune in right from 10 a.m. till the entire presser. We will get you live coverage. See you then. But thanks a lot for tuning in and watching Opening Bell. I'll see you soon. Thank you.